Super excited to be back at Iseli Nursery. It's been like 2 years. 2 years since we've been up here, and we tried to come, weirdly, we tried to come 2 weeks earlier because the last time we were on the edge of the rain and the cold moving in, but somehow we brought it earlier than we did last time. Roby, you want to introduce yourself? Reintroduce yourself.
Yeah. My name is Roby Babcock. I'm the marketing director at Iseli, so I do the social media, website, catalog, photos, all of that.
Yeah, and it's incredibly knowledgeable. So don't let
thank you.
Yes, yeah, incredibly knowledgeable about a lot of this garden. You guys have made some changes to it since we were here last.
Yeah, we make changes every year, and it's been 2 years, so we've got a bunch of new sections. We've incorporated a bunch of new plants, and maybe some plants that we're thinking about producing. So there's a lot of things I'd like to show you.
Okay, beautiful. You'll see some drone footage in this. We're going to shoot several other videos here. But you've got a collection of more cold hardy Japanese maples that you guys have been working on over time. And how many are in this series now? Do you know?
Yeah, so we've been working on this collection, the Jack Frost collection, for about 20, 25 years.
Right.
So we have our fourth member. So there's 4 members currently in this collection. They are hardy down to zone 4, and this is...
Right.
Alpenglow.
Alpenglow's number 4.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And there's more here we can't show you because you couldn't get them if you wanted them. But tell us about Alpenglow.
Yeah, Alpenglow. So it's going to be about 20 feet high by 15 feet wide. It's hardy down to zone 4. I think this is really a good spring tree. The new growth in the spring is a bright red, and then it transitions to more of a coppery green, and then it has a very nice orangey red color in the fall.
Okay, and it's more of this upright, narrow habit. Ultimately, you'd probably be thinning it from the bottom. I mean, taking some lower branch, lifting it up in the garden a little bit.
Yeah, you could definitely lift it up, open it up. It's a nice upright tree.
Gotcha. And so these are hybrids to get this additional cold hardiness?
Absolutely, yes. So they are a Japanese-Korean hybrid.
Gotcha.
So they have the aesthetic qualities of the Japanese maple combined with the sturdiness and hardiness of the Korean maple.
Right. What kind of fall? We're starting to get the fall color on it now. We're always here early for the fall color. But what will it do in the fall here?
Yeah, so it's definitely kind of a lighter orange color to shifting to kind of a red depending on the season.
Gotcha.
And I would say that the leaf is also somewhat narrow, so you can get a nice light coming through and really getting that nice color.
And this one's out in the world now.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been selling this one, so we have a fair amount all over, and we have good numbers on it, so it's something you could definitely see in the garden center.
So it's hardy down to zone 4, but how it's got some heat tolerance too. It's sitting in the middle of your full sun summer.
Right, and this is something that we notice about these hybrids is that they are not only cold tolerant, they're also heat tolerant.
Okay.
So they can handle heat waves a lot better than standard Japanese maples.
Right. When you guys, what year was the heat dome? It was like 4 years ago now or something?
Was it 21?
What temperature did you take in here?
I think we got up to 116, 117.
116 or 117
yes.
in this garden on conifers that had not experienced, Japanese maples and other things that had not experienced any of those kinds of things. Yeah, okay. And so anything that survived that out here has got to be at least a little heat tolerant, right?
It's not an ideal situation, but they can definitely handle it pretty well.
What do you call this little section of the garden here?
Yeah, so this is our Iseli Blue section. So it's a collection of blue spruce, and they have a very blue color. That's kind of where the name comes from.
Yes. We won't mistake this for blue.
Yeah, in the spring, I'd say it's more of a deep saturated blue, and then a transition to more of an icy blue in the summer when it gets more mature.
Beautiful. So you've got kind of 3 sizes here in this space. What's that front one?
Yeah, so that first one is Moonstone. So Moonstone is a true globe. So in comparison to Globosa, which will eventually develop a leader and grow somewhat faster, Moonstone is completely going to stay that way. It grows about 2 inches per year on average. It will not develop a leader, so it stays quite compact. We give it a garden size about 2 by 2.
Right. You see, and so obviously these were broomed. I mean, that was a broom off of one at some point in the past. And what Roby's talking about here is sometimes they'll kind of revert back and form some sort of leader that grows out pretty quickly. I mean,
So with Globosa and Montgomery, they're basically the same plant with different habits. And so the Globosa will develop a leader just because it's wanting to. This one, though, was, like you said, witch's broom, so it is not going to do that.
Nice. Now, how old is that, right, would you say?
I'd say that's probably, I'm going to guess, somewhere in the 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10 years. So, and that's one of the things I like to point out on the channel occasionally. There's, the price on some of these things that you're going to run into, out in the world, and it could be as simple as, one perennial that you can take a cutting and 6 months later literally finish in a gallon, versus a hellebore, which might take 2 or 3 years from a seed, to finish in a gallon container. This is a whole nother level than that. This is it stayed in a field here from a cutting bed to a 3-gallon container that you see in a store and ship. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we have that slogan, priceless with time. I mean, it's an apt description of the process here.
Right, yeah.
I mean, if you have like a 10-gallon Mugo, that's a 10-year-old plant. If you have a 24-inch box maple, that could be 12 years on the farm.
Right.
And during that time, yes, you're potting it up, you're moving it around. All these plants are moved by people. It's a very intensive process and a very long period of time. Yeah,
and there's not a lot of nurseries that want to commit that kind of space and time to anything. Yeah, I mean, the risk over a 10-year period of time growing something, keeping something on the nursery is, it increases.
Well, exactly, and reacting to economic conditions, climatic conditions, everything is so far out in the future that you're having to kind of do a lot of guesswork and hope for the best.
Yeah, you don't know there's going to be a housing crisis 10 years before you put that in, right? Yeah, or something like that could impact your sales in the future. What's this variety?
Yeah, so this is Monty. So this one's been out. A lot of people have been seeing this at garden centers. So it's a compact upright that gets about 8 feet tall by 6 feet wide.
Wow.
A very nice blue color. I'd say 6 to 8 inches per year growth.
So a little faster.
Definitely a little faster than our last one.
Yeah, and then over to our.
Then this is Deja Blue. So Deja Blue we just released. So we have sent out our first ones this fall to those people that ordered it. Probably more availability in the spring. It's basically a larger and faster growing version of Monty. So you're looking at probably 15 feet for a garden size versus 8 feet for Monty. So if some people want a larger specimen, this would be a good option for that. And it still has that brilliant blue. So it's a cross. Both of these are a cross between Hoopsai and Montgomery.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
About how long has that been in the ground?
Well, this one, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years because it was moved from another location.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite a bit older than that.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
Gosh, what, 15 years, I'm going to say, or so?
Deja Blue is such a good name. I'm surprised that one was available. That we're running. You will not believe. I mean, the amount, how hard it is to name something now. I mean, you guys, I'm sure go through that. I'm sure they go through that here.
The naming process is, it takes a while because you have to think of something that works. But then, yes, there's so many names already out there unavailable.
Yeah. It's kind of wild. So let's jump to something else. So when somebody buys a green giant arborvitae, they don't necessarily need one that gets 60 feet tall like they will, but you guys found a sport off of one that's more compact.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you're looking for something that's a slower growing, more compact version of a green giant, this is green screen.
Okay.
So we give it a garden size of 10 feet high by 3 feet wide.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you can probably even top these out.
Absolutely,
in the future.
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, in functionality wise, it's the same as a green giant in every way, except that it's just a compact version of it.
Right, and won't get that width down at the bottom.
Exactly.
I don't see that, I don't know if because the green giant will get that little bulge down at the bottom. This one doesn't seem to have as much of that.
And I don't believe these have been sheared, so that's just how they are.
Wow, okay, gotcha, because that is a feature of them. When they get to a certain height, they start to get that little bulge down at the bottom. They can actually end up eating a lot more room down at the bottom and just be narrow at the top. That thing looks great. And that's a Western, these are Western arborvitae, right? They're plicata, Thuja plicata.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
Yep.
Talk about the pseudo-larix, which is turning, we are getting the fall color on something.
Yeah, hey, it's beginning, yeah. Pseudo-larix amabilis, it is Not one that we grow a lot of, but it's a really special specimen, and it's just about to turn completely gold.
Yeah, you guys get this moss and all these things growing in these plants that we don't get on the East Coast. It's like an extra feature. The moss growing on them. You know, how does that moss survive the summer? I mean, we see it. You know, when it's dry, right? I mean, you go months without rain. Bone dry, and it just, somehow this moss.
It just goes into hibernation, as far as I can tell. I mean, everything has been rehydrated. We finally got a bunch of rain, and everything is nice and soft. But yeah, it covers everything here.
So we talked about Monty earlier in your blues area over there, but this is the largest one in existence?
This is full size. Well, at least as far as we have so far.
Right. How long has this one been over here, you think?
Well, this is another one that was, so we have a testing area way out that way, and so this one was actually relocated over here.
Okay, gotcha.
I think it's been here about 4 years, but yeah, I would give this probably 12 years of age or so.
So when you make changes here in the garden, because there's some larger material here or there, you don't have to make it look like it's newly planted, necessarily. You can put a couple specimens in here.
Mostly we put smaller things in, but I guess we've made some exceptions to it if we have the material. Most of the things are not grown out in that testing area, but we've been working on these for quite a long time, and there's a whole row of the Monty and Deja Blue out there.
Oh, nice. This Mugo pine is the coolest.
Yeah, so the way that we've set up this little area is kind of using this Pesto Mugo pine as almost a ground cover. Yep. It's a really flat Mugo pine. So Pesto, it gets about 1 foot tall by 3 feet wide is our garden size, which again is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 years of age. So it'll just kind of spread out naturally and give this a nice little ground cover.
And that one on the corner there would be what you'd expect in, I mean, a long time. It'd be a long time to get
Absolutely. Yeah, the new growth, the candles will go upright and then they'll flatten out. So you can shear it to keep it even more flat, but they will naturally stay pretty flat.
So when we go shopping for conifers, Steph and I will typically buy small conifers. I mean, other people are going to want some instant gratification, or, but for us, we're on a very small lot. I like to see things grow for a while. You guys have that whole series. When we go around Christmas time, there's a couple garden centers in Raleigh that have small containers that you guys send out. What is that? What do you call those?
Yeah, so it's the Fanciful Gardens.
Fanciful Gardens.
Yes, Fanciful Gardens. So we have 4-inch pots. I believe we have one line that is just the 2-inch pots. We have a bunch of different names for them, the Railroad Garden or Bonsai Starters.
Right. Do most of the garden centers buy them this time of year for the Christmas season, or just all year long?
All year long we sell them. I mean, certainly they're applicable for Christmas season, but they're something that we can ship all year.
But again, Steph and I like buying these we can buy these conifers in small containers because we're in zone 8, and some of them actually do better in containers because it gets a little cold. It can stay a little cooler. And we'll leave them in a container for 2 or 3 years and then transition them into the ground. And we can get several uses out of one of those plants by, buying a small one like that. So we're very appreciative of you sending out things that are in smaller containers, because there's less and less of that. It's harder to find. And I made a living at my nursery for 23 years selling trade gallon pots to people who had a hard time digging between roots or were older or whatever, you know what I mean? So there's a market for that.
Yeah, so while we do have larger specimens, I would say the majority of our plants are somewhere in the 3-gallon to 10-gallon range. We do have all of those plants that are in the 4-inch, and it is nice to see something really start from a small size and let it grow naturally.
Right. You've made a lot of changes in this area over here. What was here that made you want to change it?
Sure. So one of the things in the garden is that we either prune our way out of a situation or we have to remove things once they get too large for the space. And so depending on what it is, that can take a long time or a short period of time. And it's just an opportunity to kind of rethink things. So we had some very large Picea abies and some other plants that had outgrown their usefulness.
Right.
And we had some lawn here before, which wasn't really doing anything. So just reimagine the whole space. And I think it's kind of a nice opportunity to then have some new vantage points. We have a nice maple over here that's a focal point, and now we can really see through the whole space, it changes everything.
Yeah, it looks great. And you said you prune your way out of something. We have the same, we're in a very small space in Raleigh, so we have to rein some things in. But one thing about this is here in the Pacific Northwest, you're spacing some of these you're spacing things out much more than we are in our Raleigh garden. We get this heat where we're pushing the southern boundaries of these conifers. And, if we don't put them a little bit tighter, then they actually get hot. The roots actually get hot on them, and we find that we have problems on them, but then we're careful to keep things off of them. So that's part of your pruning strategy, right? Is to keep things from disforming them in some way, or
yeah. So that's definitely an issue with a lot of conifers. If they're getting too shaded by nearby plants, then they can have parts of them die off. So, and ultimately we want to give this a long lifespan without having to prune something out or have any sort of moving issues. So we give them a lot of space.
So what we'll do is we'll put a ground cover around something like this, just to keep the roots kind of cool on it. But then we're cutting them away during the season. I think that's the most important thing is if you got aggressive growing perennials next to your very slow growing conifer, that could be an issue.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's it. And in my personal garden, I have a lot of perennials and ground covers, and so I am kind of cutting them away from the conifers just to make sure that they have that space.
And most of these conifers need good drainage. So you've got most everything mounded up some here, right?
Yeah, it's something that we have throughout the garden. So we have mounded up the soil. Now we have very dry and warm summers, but through basically October until April, May, it rains constantly and they need good drainage. So a lot of these can take moist soil, but they do not want standing water on the roots. And so having this mounded garden is going to prevent that from being an issue in the wintertime.
Yeah. What's some crazy pruning here?
Yes.
Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this is our Pinus parviflora fukuzumi. This is a pretty large specimen. They tend to kind of spread out. This one, I believe, is pruned to be like an eagle. And Alberto, our head gardener, has done another pruning on this just to keep it more compact and open up so you can see a lot of the branching structure underneath here.
Obviously you have very, I'm sure, high level employees here, employees that know how to know their way around pruning these things, but you've also had groups come in and teach people pruning in here, right?
Yeah, the Portland Japanese Garden has done an annual class that we've been lucky enough to be a part of with some of our older specimens.
Nice. We'll take a look at one of those Japanese maples now. This is one that just got professionally pruned basically by someone teaching a class.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Acer palmatum everred, and it's been here for quite some time. And the structure has been completely covered, but the Japanese garden came out here to teach a class, and they had their pruners work on it really quickly, turning it into this amazing sculpture.
And you can see the interior of it. That's the thing on some of these is that you can't, if you don't, it's hard to appreciate what's going on in the middle of it sometimes.
Absolutely, and I think that's something to keep in mind with Japanese maples in general, is that you probably want to do a yearly pruning just to kind of keep it maintained, and as it grows you can select certain branching structures that you like.
Yeah, because the center of that tree is every bit as beautiful as any color that's going to happen on the outside of it. And heck, it's going to not, it's going to be without leaves some portion of the year.
Absolutely.
So you have this Pacific Rim collection of Japanese maples. Tell us about this one.
Sure. So Pacific Rim is also a hybrid between Korean and Japanese maples, but they're only hardy to zone 5.
Right.
But they still have interesting qualities. So this is wabi sabi. So this is going to be a 7 feet high by 10 feet wide. It's a weeper.
Yeah.
It has a really nice green color. One of the things in the springs that it has is the seeds are a nice pink color.
Okay, gotcha.
And then in the fall, it turns a beautiful yellowy gold color, verging into orange.
Yeah, and I want to point out the rocks here. We have not, the plant's obviously beautiful, but you guys do such a good job with using the rocks as ground cover and elements here in the garden.
Absolutely, and one of the great things about being at Iseli is that we have equipment to move rocks.
Right,
and
yeah, because you
people.
have big trees to move.
But yeah, we have a lot of rocks throughout the garden that just inevitably get covered in moss like we were talking about earlier, and it's a really nice feature.
Yeah, it is. What's this maple above us here?
This is Tobiosho, so this is an upright. It's not a hybrid. This is actually just a Japanese maple. It is named after our production manager, Toby and Milt. And this is one that gets kind of wine turning into an orangey red.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's starting to get that color right up in the tips of it. And I kind of like this transition time. I mean, I like the full color as well, but I also like when you can see that color up on the top of it. You know, it's kind of in the process of coming, the sun coming through it. So I think we're going to do another video with Roby on super narrow conifers.
And I have a big list.
Okay, yeah, this garden has an incredible collection of narrow conifers. If you guys have narrow spaces and you're interested in that, we're going to have that video coming up. And I think we'll end this video with a little bit of walk around so you can see some interest, gain some interest in this garden, and then we're going to have a big full walk around later. Thank you so much, Roby, for participating in the videos and having us back up here to Iseli 2 years later. The place is beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.